Captain Maya Reeves had been walking for 40 minutes. Her boots crunched against the gravel pathway between buildings she didn't recognize. The signs were faded. The numbers didn't match her map. And the Texas sun beat down on her like a hammer against an anvil. Fort Braxton was massive, sprawling, a small city disguised as a military base, with enough buildings, bunkers, and back roads to lose an entire platoon if they didn't know where they were going. And right now, Maya looked lost. She stopped at another intersection. 3 dirt roads stretched out before her. No signs, no soldiers, just the hum of distant helicopters and the smell of dust and diesel fuel. She pulled out her phone. No signal, of course. Her orders had been clear. Report to Building 7C by 0900 hours for a classified briefing. High priority. Command level. She'd flown in from Germany just 12 hours ago. Barely had time to drop her gear at temporary quarters. And now she was supposed to be sitting in a room with generals and intelligence leads. Instead, she was standing in the middle of nowhere, sweating through her uniform, looking like a brand new recruit on her first day. Maya exhaled slowly. She refused to panic. She'd been in worse situations, much worse. 2 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. She'd run intelligence operations in hostile territory, coordinated airstrikes, extracted assets under fire. She'd earned her rank. She'd earned her reputation, but none of that mattered if she couldn't find a building on her own base. She turned left, hoping her instincts were right. 10 minutes later, she spotted 2 soldiers near a supply depot. Both men, both younger than her. Privates, maybe specialists. They were leaning against a truck, drinking bottled water, laughing about something. Maya approached them, keeping her stride confident. "Excuse me," she said. "I'm looking for Building 7C. Can you point me in the right direction?" The taller one looked her up and down. His eyes lingered a little too long on her captain's bars, then on her face like he was trying to figure out if she was serious. 7C, he said. "That's way on the other side of base, ma'am." "I know that," Maya said calmly. "I just need to know which direction." The shorter one smirked. "You lost?" Maya kept her face neutral. "I'm new to this base. Just flew in last night. I need directions," the tall one pointed vaguely to the left. "Head that way for about a mile. Maybe more. You'll see the admin complex. From there, ask someone else." "A mile?" Maya glanced at her watch. She had less than 15 minutes. "Yeah," the shorter one said, grinning now. "Or you could call someone. Get a ride." "No signal out here," Maya said. "That's rough," the tall one said, not sounding sympathetic at all. "Good luck, ma'am." They turned back to their conversation, dismissing her. Maya stood there for just a moment. She could have pulled rank, could have made it an order, but she didn't have time to argue. She turned and started jogging. By the time she reached the admin complex, her uniform was damp with sweat. Her legs burned. Her heart pounded. She spotted another soldier, older this time. "A staff sergeant. Building 7C, she said, slightly out of breath. "Where is it?" He looked at her like she'd just asked him to solve a calculus equation. "Border C. That's restricted access, ma'am. You sure you're supposed to be there?" Maya's jaw tightened. "Yes, I'm sure," he shrugged. 2 buildings down. "Big gray one. You'll need clearance to get in." "I have clearance, and only if you say so." She didn't wait for him to say anything else. She ran. The building was exactly where he said it would be. Large, concrete, surrounded by fencing and security cameras. 2 guards stood at the entrance, both armed, both stone-faced. Maya slowed to a walk, catching her breath. Smoothing down her uniform as best she could, she approached the checkpoint. "Captain Maya Reeves," she said, pulling out her ID. "I'm here for the 0900 briefing." One of the guards took her ID, scanned it. Looked at his computer screen, he frowned. "You're not on the list," he said. Maya's stomach dropped. "That's impossible," she said. "I received direct orders. I flew in from Germany for this. Ma'am, if you're not on the list, I can't let you in. Check again." He sighed, typed something, squinted at the screen. "Nope. No Captain Reeves." Maya felt heat rising in her chest. Not panic, anger. "Who's running this briefing?" she asked. "That's classified. I'm cleared for classified briefings. Not this one. Not if you're not on the list." The second guard was watching her now, hand resting casually on his sidearm. Not threatening. "Just ready." Maya took a breath. She could feel the minutes ticking away. "Can you call inside?" Verify with whoever's in charge? The first guard looked annoyed. Ma'am, I've got orders. No list, no entry. I don't care if you flew in from the moon. Germany, Maya said flatly. Same difference. She stared at him. He stared back. This was going nowhere. Fine, Maya said. Who do I talk to about getting added to the list? Base operations. Building 3A. That's on the other side of the base. Yes, ma'am. He handed her ID back. Maya stood there, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She could walk away. File a complaint. Make calls. Let the system sort it out. But she knew what that looked like, a female officer. Lost on base. Couldn't find the briefing. Missed the meeting. Made excuses. It didn't matter that none of it was her fault. It didn't matter that she'd been given bad directions, bad intel. No support. All that would matter was the optics. And she'd fought too hard. For too long to let optics destroy her. Thank you, she said coldly, and turned away. She walked about 50 feet, stopped, looked back at the building. Then she looked around. There was a side entrance. Maintenance door, maybe. She could see a camera above it, but the angle was wrong. It wouldn't catch someone approaching from the left. Maya glanced at her watch. 0900 right now, the briefing was starting. She thought about her orders. Thought about the call she'd received 3 days ago from a colonel she'd never met, telling her this was urgent, critical, need to know. She thought about all the times she'd been dismissed, doubted, told she didn't belong, and then she made a decision. She circled around the building, moving quickly but not running, confident like she belonged. She reached the side door, tried the handle, locked. She pulled a small toolkit from her pocket, standard issue for intelligence officers, technically for field work, but it worked just fine on base locks too. 15 seconds later, the door clicked open. Maya slipped inside. The hallway was empty, sterile. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Somewhere deeper in the building, she could hear voices. She moved toward them. Her heart was pounding now, but her hands were steady. This was the part she was good at. Moving through hostile environments. Staying calm under pressure. She passed 2 more hallways. Checked the doors. All locked or empty. Then she heard it. A voice. Deep. Authoritative. Coming from behind a set of double doors at the end of the hall. She approached slowly. There was a small window in the door. She peeked through, a briefing room. At least 20 people inside, officers high-ranking, some in uniform, some in suits. A projector displayed satellite images on the far wall, and at the head of the table sat a man she recognized, General Marcus Hale. Her breath caught. Hale was a legend, decorated, respected, and notoriously hard to impress. Maya's orders had come. From his office, she glanced down at herself. Dusty boots, sweat-stained uniform, hair coming loose from its tie. She looked like she'd been wandering the desert, but she was here, and she was going in. Maya straightened her shoulders, smoothed her uniform one last time. Then she opened the door. Every head in the room turned. The general stopped mid-sentence. Silence. Complete. Total. Silence. Maya stepped inside, letting the door close behind her. Captain Maya Reeves, she said, her voice steady and clear. Reporting as ordered, sir. General Hale stared at her. So did everyone else. A colonel near the back whispered something to the man next to him. Someone else stifled a laugh. Maya didn't move, didn't flinch. Hale's eyes narrowed. Captain, he said slowly. You're late. Yes, sir. I apologize, sir. And you look like you've been lost in the field for a week. A few people smirked. Maya met his gaze. I was given incorrect directions, sir. And my name wasn't on the entry list. I had to improvise. Hale leaned back in his chair. Improvise, he repeated. Yes, sir. He studied her for a long moment. Then, to her surprise, the corner of his mouth twitched. Take a seat. Captain, he said. Maya moved to the only empty chair, near the back of the room. As she sat down, she caught a few stares. Some curious, some skeptical, but she was in, and whatever happened next, she was ready. The briefing room smelled like coffee and tension. Maya sat perfectly still in her chair, back straight, eyes forward. She could feel the stares. Some quick glances over shoulders, some longer, more deliberate looks from the officers seated nearby. She ignored them all. General Hale resumed his presentation. He clicked a remote and the satellite image on the screen changed. It showed a compound, desert terrain, Somewhere in the Middle East, Maya guessed. Syria, maybe. Or Yemen. As I was saying, Hale continued, his voice filling the room with authority. We've tracked the target to this location for the past 72 hours. Intelligence confirms he's planning to move within the next 48. Maya leaned forward slightly, studying the image. The compound was small but fortified. High walls, guard towers, limited entry points. Whoever was inside didn't want visitors. This is a high-value target, Hale said. Codename Sentinel. We've been hunting him for 16 months. He's responsible for coordinating attacks on 3 separate U.S. installations. 12 American lives lost. Dozens more injured. The room was silent now, focused. Hale clicked again. A grainy photograph appeared. A man, middle-aged, beard, cold eyes. Sentinel is smart, careful he doesn't stay in one place long. This is our best chance to grab him before he disappears again. A colonel near the front raised his hand. What's the timeline, General? We move in 36 hours, Hale said. This is a joint operation. Special forces will handle the extraction, but we need intelligence support on the ground. Real-time analysis. Someone who can read the situation as it develops and make calls in the moment. He paused. His eyes swept the room. That's why you're all here. I need the best intelligence officer we have for this mission. Someone with field experience. Someone who can think under fire. Someone I can trust. Maya's pulse quickened. This was why she'd been called in. Hale clicked the remote again. A list of names appeared on the screen. 6 officers. All captains. All with impressive records. And there, at the bottom of the list, was her name. Captain Maya Reeves. She felt a flicker of pride. But she didn't let it show. These 6 officers, Hale said, have been selected as candidates for this operation. Over the next 24 hours, they'll be evaluated, tested, questioned. By tomorrow morning, I'll choose one. He turned to face the room fully. This isn't a popularity contest. I don't care about politics. I don't care about tenure. I care about results. Whoever I pick will be embedded with a SEAL team, operating in hostile territory with 0 margin for error. If you're not ready for that, speak now. No one spoke. Hale nodded. Good. Candidates, you'll report to Building 12F at 1300 hours. The rest of you are dismissed. Chairs scraped. People stood. The room began to empty. Maya rose slowly, her mind already racing. She had less than 4 hours to prepare. As she turned toward the door, a voice stopped her. Captain Reeves. She turned. General Hale was standing near the front of the room watching her. Sir? He walked toward her, his expression unreadable. You made quite an entrance, he said. I apologize again, sir. It won't happen again. I'm sure it won't. He stopped a few feet away. But I'm curious. How exactly did you get in here? The guards told me you weren't on the list. Maya hesitated. Just for a second, then she met his eyes. I used a side entrance, sir. Hale raised an eyebrow. You picked the lock? Yes, sir. A few officers nearby overheard. One of them, a tall man with a crew cut and major's insignia, laughed out loud. You broke into a classified briefing, he said, shaking his head. That's bold. Or stupid, Maya turned to him. I had orders to be here, Major. I followed them. By breaking the law? He shot back. By doing what was necessary to complete my mission, Maya said calmly. The Major smirked. Your mission was to show up on time. You failed. Maya's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Hale held up a hand. That's enough, Major Cutler. Cutler shrugged, still grinning. Just saying, sir. If she can't even navigate a friendly base, how's she supposed to handle a combat zone? A few others chuckled. Maya felt heat rising in her chest, but she kept her face neutral. She'd heard worse. Survived worse. Hale looked at Cutler, then back at Maya. Captain Reeves didn't fail, he said quietly. She improvised, adapted, got herself into this room when the system tried to keep her out. That's exactly the kind of thinking I need in the field. Cutler's smirk faded. Hale turned back to Maya. 1300 hours, Captain. Don't be late. Yes, sir. He walked away, leaving Maya standing there with a handful of officers who were now looking at her differently. Not with respect, with suspicion. Maya left the building and stepped into the midday heat. Her mind was spinning. She'd made it into the briefing. She was still in the running, but she'd also made enemies. She could see it in their eyes. Cutler especially. He didn't think she belonged. Didn't think she was good enough, and he wasn't alone. As she walked toward her temporary quarters, she replayed the morning in her head. The wrong directions. The missing name on the list. The guards who turned her away. It could have been coincidence. But Maya didn't believe in coincidences. Someone had set her up to fail. Her quarters were small. A bed, a desk, a locker. Standard temporary housing for visiting officers. She dropped her bag on the bed and pulled out her laptop. She had 4 hours. She needed to prepare. Review the mission parameters. Study the terrain. Refresh her knowledge of insurgent tactics in the region. But first she needed to understand what had gone wrong this morning. She opened her email. Scrolled through her orders. There it was. The original message from General Hale's office. Report to Building 7C. 0900 hours. Classified briefing. She checked the timestamp. Sent 3 days ago. Then she opened her calendar. The appointment was there, logged automatically. Everything matched. So why wasn't her name on the list? She opened a secure line and called the base operations office. A young corporal answered. Operations Corporal Hayes, this is Captain Reeves. I need to verify my clearance for a briefing this morning. Building 7C. One moment, ma'am, she heard typing. Okay, I've got the briefing. What's your concern? My name wasn't on the entry list. I need to know why. More typing. Ma'am, I'm showing here that your name was removed yesterday. Maya's blood went cold. Removed? By who? Let me check. Looks like it came from Major Cutler's office. Of course it did. Did he give a reason? Maya asked, keeping her voice steady. It just says administrative correction. No further details. Maya closed her eyes. Took a breath. Thank you, Corporal. She hung up. So it wasn't coincidence. It was sabotage. Cutler had removed her name. Made sure she couldn't get in. Made sure she'd look incompetent in front of the general. And it almost worked. Maya sat back in her chair staring at the ceiling. She'd dealt with men like Cutler before. Men who saw a woman in uniform and assumed she didn't earn it. Assumed she was a diversity hire. A quota. A political statement. They never saw the years of training. The deployments. The missions. The sacrifices. They only saw what they wanted to see, and they made it their mission to prove her wrong. But Maya had never backed down before, and she wasn't about to start now. At 12:45, she left her quarters and headed for Building 12F. She'd showered, changed into a fresh uniform, pulled her hair back tight. She looked sharp, professional, ready. The building was smaller than the briefing hall, a training facility. Inside, she found a conference room set up with 6 chairs, 6 tablets, and a proctor, a stern-looking lieutenant colonel with silver hair and a clipboard. 3 other candidates were already there. One was a woman, Captain Lori Park. Maya had heard of her. Intelligence specialist, Harvard graduate, brilliant analyst. The other 2 were men. Both captains. Both looked confident, comfortable. Maya took a seat. A few minutes later, the last 2 candidates arrived. One of them was Major Cutler. Maya's stomach tightened. Cutler saw her and smiled. Not friendly, predatory. Well, well, he said, sitting down across from her. Glad you could find the place this time, Reeves. A few of the others chuckled. Maya didn't respond. The lieutenant colonel stepped forward. Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Brennan. You've all been selected as candidates for a critical intelligence role in an upcoming operation. Over the next 2 hours, you'll complete a series of evaluations, tactical scenarios, analysis exercises, decision-making under pressure. He placed a tablet in front of each of them. You'll work individually. No collaboration, no outside resources. Your performance will be reviewed by General Hale personally. He checked his watch. You may begin. Maya tapped the screen. The first scenario loaded, a hostage situation. 3 Americans held in a compound. Limited intel. Multiple variables. She read through it carefully. Analyzed the terrain, the enemy strength, the time constraints. Then she started building her plan. 2 hours later, Maya set down her tablet. Her head ached. Her eyes burned. But she'd finished every scenario, every question. She'd given it everything. Around her, the other candidates were doing the same. Park looked exhausted but satisfied. Cutler looked smug. Brennan collected the tablets. Results will be delivered to General Hale by 1800 hours. You'll be notified of his decision by 2100. Dismissed. They filed out. Maya walked slowly, feeling the weight of the day pressing down on her. As she reached the door, Cutler fell into step beside her. "You know," he said quietly, "I admire your persistence." She didn't look at him. "But persistence doesn't win wars," he continued. "Experience does. And no offense, Captain, but you don't have what it takes for this mission." Maya stopped, turned to face him. "Is that why you removed my name from the list this morning?" she asked. Cutler's smile didn't falter. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." He leaned in slightly. "You're out of your depth, Reeves. And when Hale picks me tomorrow, you'll see that." He walked away. Maya stood there, fists clenched, but she didn't follow him. She didn't argue, because she knew something Cutler didn't. She knew that underestimating her was the biggest mistake he could make. And by tomorrow, he'd realize it too. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling, replaying every question from the evaluation. Every decision. Every tactical choice. Had she missed something? Made a wrong call? She didn't think so. But doubt had a way of creeping in during the dark hours. At 05:30, she gave up trying to rest. She got up, dressed, and went for a run. The base was quiet in the early morning. Just the sound of her boots on pavement and the distant rumble of trucks heading out for morning drills. She ran hard. Pushed herself. Let the physical pain drown out the mental noise. By the time she returned to her quarters, the sun was rising and her shirt was soaked with sweat. She showered, changed, and checked her phone. No messages. The decision was supposed to come by 2100 hours last night. But she'd received nothing. Maybe Hale was still deliberating. Or maybe the choice had already been made and she just hadn't been told yet. Maya made coffee in the small break room down the hall and sat alone at a table, watching the clock. 0700 came and went. 0800, still nothing. Then, at 0843, her phone buzzed. She grabbed it, a text message. From an unknown number. Building 9D. Now. Come alone. Maya stared at the screen. No signature. No explanation. It could be anything. A prank, a trap, a test. Or it could be legitimate. She finished her coffee, grabbed her cap, and headed out. Building 9D was on the north side of the base. An older structure. Brick and concrete. No signs indicating what it was used for. Maya approached cautiously. The door was unlocked. She stepped inside. The interior was dim. A narrow hallway stretched ahead, lit by a single flickering bulb. "The air smelled like dust and old paint. Hello?" she called out. No answer. She moved forward slowly, every sense on alert. At the end of the hall was a door, slightly ajar. She pushed it open. Inside was a small office, a desk, a chair, and sitting behind the desk was a woman in civilian clothes. She was older, maybe 50. Short gray hair, sharp eyes. She looked up as Maya entered. "Captain Reeves," she said. Not a question. A statement. "Yes, ma'am," Maya said carefully. "Who are you?" The woman gestured to the chair across from her. "Sit." Maya hesitated, then sat. The woman folded her hands on the desk. "My name is Dr. Ellen Graves. I'm a civilian contractor. I work with the Defense Intelligence Agency." Maya's pulse quickened. "DIA, that was serious. Why am I here?" Maya asked. Graves studied her for a moment. "Because you're about to be cut from the candidate list." Maya felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. "What?" "General Hale is making his decision this morning," Graves said. "And unless something changes, you won't be selected." Maya's mind raced. "Why not?" "Because someone's been feeding him false information about you." The room seemed to tilt. "Who?" Maya demanded. "Major Cutler," Graves said simply.
"He submitted a report last night claiming you have a history of insubordination."
"That you've been reprimanded multiple times for ignoring orders. That you're a liability in the field." Maya's hands clenched into fists. "That's a lie. All of it." "I know," Graves said. "Then why would Hale believe him?" "Because Cutler has friends. People who vouch for him. People who've worked with him for years. You, on the other hand, just got here. No one knows you. No one's willing to go to bat for you." Maya felt anger boiling up inside her. "So what am I supposed to do? Just accept it?" Graves leaned back in her chair. "That depends. Do you want this mission or not?" "Of course I do." "Then you need proof. Evidence that Cutler's lying. Evidence that discredits him before Hale makes his final call." Maya stared at her. "You have that proof?" Graves smiled faintly. "Not yet. But I know where to find it." She slid a piece of paper across the desk. Maya picked it up. It was an address, a building number, and a time 2100 hours tonight. What is this? Maya asked. Cutler's office, Graves said. He keeps files there. Personal records, communications, things he doesn't want anyone to see. Maya looked up sharply. You're asking me to break into his office? I'm not asking you to do anything, Graves said. I'm giving you an option. What you do with it is your choice. Why are you helping me? Graves was quiet for a moment. Then she said, because I've seen what men like Cutler do to women like you, and I'm tired of watching good soldiers get destroyed by lies. Maya looked down at the paper again. This was insane. Breaking into a superior officer's office. Stealing files. If she got caught, her career was over. Worse than over. She'd be court-martialed. But if she didn't do it, Cutler would win. He'd take the mission. He'd continue sabotaging anyone who threatened him. And Maya would go back to Germany with nothing but questions and regret. She folded the paper and put it in her pocket. What happens after I find the proof? She asked. You bring it to me, Graves said. I'll make sure it gets to the right people. And Hale? He'll make a different decision. Maya stood. How do I know I can trust you? Graves stood as well. You don't. But right now I'm the only chance you've got. Maya spent the rest of the day preparing. She went through her gear. Made sure she had everything she needed. Lockpicks, flashlight, gloves, a small camera to photograph any documents she found. She also did reconnaissance. She walked past Cutler's building twice. Noted the security cameras, the guard rotations, the blind spots. It was doable. Risky, but doable. At 2000 hours, she ate a quick meal in the dining hall. Alone. Her mind was elsewhere. At 2030, she changed into dark clothing. No insignia. Nothing that identified her as an officer. At 2045, she left her quarters and moved. Through the base like a shadow, the night was warm, quiet. Most personnel were either off-duty or already in their bunks. She reached Cutler's building at 2058, no guards outside. Just a camera above the front entrance. Maya circled to the back. There was a window. Second floor. No camera coverage. She pulled out a small grappling tool and climbed. Inside, the building was dark and silent. Maya moved carefully down the hallway, her flashlight beam cutting through the blackness. Cutler's office was at the end. The door was locked, but it took her less than 20 seconds to pick it. She slipped inside and closed the door behind her. The office was neat. Almost obsessively so. Desk clear except for a monitor and a coffee mug. Filing cabinets along the wall. A bookshelf filled with military manuals. Maya went to the desk first. She booted up the computer. Password protected. She tried a few common combinations. Nothing. Then she noticed a sticky note tucked under the keyboard. A password, written in Cutler's handwriting, arrogant, stupid, perfect. She typed it in, the computer. Unlocked. Maya pulled out her camera and started photographing emails, reports, personnel files, and then she found it, a folder labeled Reeves. She opened it. Inside were documents, fabricated reports, fake disciplinary records, all dated and signed to look official. Her hand shook as she photographed each one. Cutler hadn't just tried to sabotage her this week. He'd been building a case against her for months. Maybe longer, but why? She kept digging, and then she found another folder. This one labeled Park. She opened it. More fake documents. More lies. He'd done the same thing to Captain Park. And to others. Maya's stomach turned. This wasn't about her. This was a pattern. Cutler had been systematically destroying the careers of anyone he saw as competition. Especially women. She photographed everything. Then she heard footsteps in the hallway. Her heart stopped. She quickly closed the files, shut down the computer, and moved to the door. The footsteps were getting closer. She looked around. No other exits. Nowhere to hide except a small closet in the corner. She slipped inside and pulled the door almost closed, leaving just a crack to see through. The office door opened. Major Cutler stepped inside. He flipped on the light. Maya held her breath. Cutler walked to his desk, muttering to himself. He picked up a file, flipped through it, then set it down. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Yeah, it's me, he said. Everything's set. Hale's making the announcement tomorrow morning. I'm in. A pause. No, Reeves is done. I made sure of it. She won't be a problem. Another pause. Cutler laughed. She never had a chance. None of them do. He hung up. Stood there for a moment. Then he turned off the light and left. Maya waited until his footsteps faded completely. Then she stepped out of the closet, her whole body trembling, not from fear, from rage. She climbed back out the window and made her way across the base. By the time she reached Building 9D, it was nearly midnight. Dr. Graves was waiting inside. Maya handed her the camera. I got everything, she said. Emails, fake reports, evidence of him doing this to at least 4 other officers. Graves scrolled through the photos, her expression hardening. This is good, she said quietly. This is enough. What happens now? Maya asked. Now I take this to someone who can actually do something about it. Who? Graves looked up. General Hale. Maya's eyes widened. You know him? I've worked with him for 15 years, Graves said. He's a good man, but he's also busy, distracted. He doesn't always see what's happening right under his nose, but when he does, he acts. She put the camera in her bag. Go back to your quarters, she said. Get some sleep. Tomorrow morning everything changes. Maya didn't sleep. She sat on her bunk, watching the clock. At 0600, her phone buzzed. A message from General Hale's office. All candidates report to Building 7C at 0800 hours. Maya's heart pounded. This was it. She got dressed, checked herself in the mirror, then she walked out into the morning light, ready for whatever came next. The briefing room was packed, not just the candidates. There were at least a dozen other officers. Senior staff, legal, even a 2-star general Maya didn't recognize. Something was different. Maya took a seat near the back, her pulse hammering in her ears. Cutler was already there, sitting near the front, confident, relaxed. He glanced back at her once and smirked. He thought he'd won. Captain Park sat a few rows ahead, looking nervous. The other candidates were scattered throughout the room, all wearing the same tight expression. Anticipation. Dread. At exactly 0800, the door opened. General Hale walked in. Behind him was Dr. Ellen Graves. Maya's breath caught. Graves didn't look at her, didn't acknowledge her. She just took a seat along the side wall, holding a thin folder. Hale moved to the front of the room. His face was stone. Good morning, he said. His voice was clipped, controlled. I called you all here because we have a situation that needs to be addressed immediately. The room went silent. Hale looked around. His eyes passed over each candidate. Yesterday, I was prepared to make a selection for the intelligence position on an upcoming high-priority operation. I had reviewed the evaluations, read the reports, made my decision. He paused. And then, last night, I was presented with new information that changes everything. Cutler shifted in his seat, just slightly, but Maya saw it. Hale nodded to Graves. She stood, opened the folder, and pulled out several printed documents. 3 months ago, Hale continued, I began receiving reports about certain officers under consideration for advanced assignments. Reports detailing disciplinary issues, insubordination, poor performance reviews. He held up one of the documents. These reports influenced my decisions. They kept qualified officers from opportunities they had earned. They damaged reputations, derailed careers. He set the paper down. Last night, I learned that those reports were fabricated. A murmur rippled through the room. Cutler's face went pale. Hale's eyes locked onto him. Major Cutler, he said. Stand up. Cutler hesitated, then slowly rose to his feet. Sir, be quiet, Hale said, his voice like ice. Cutler's mouth snapped shut. Hale walked toward him. For the past 18 months, you have systematically falsified documents, forged signatures, and submitted fraudulent reports in order to eliminate competition for assignments you wanted. You targeted junior officers. Specifically, you targeted women. Cutler's jaw tightened. General, I don't know who told you that, but Captain Maya Reeves was removed from the clearance list 2 days ago, Hale said, cutting him off. On your orders. You told the operations office it was an administrative correction. It wasn't. It was sabotage. Cutler said nothing. Captain Lori Park received a negative performance review last year, Hale continued. A review that contradicted every other assessment she'd ever received. That review came from your office. Park looked up sharply, her eyes wide. Lieutenant Sarah Chen was denied a promotion 6 months ago based on a disciplinary report claiming she'd leaked classified information. Hale said, "That report was a lie. You wrote it." The room was deadly silent now. Hale stopped directly in front of Cutler. "You didn't just break regulations, Major. You broke trust. You destroyed careers. You disgraced this uniform." Cutler's face was red now. His hands were shaking. "I want a lawyer," he said. "You'll get one," Hale said. "Right after you're placed under arrest." He nodded to 2 MPs standing by the door. They moved forward. Cutler looked around wildly. "This is insane. You can't—" "Major Richard Cutler," one of the MPs said, "you are under arrest for conduct unbecoming an officer, falsifying official documents, and obstruction of justice. You have the right to remain silent. This is a setup," Cutler shouted, looking directly at Maya. "She broke into my office." "I know," Hale said calmly. Maya's stomach dropped. Hale turned to face her. "Captain Reeves, stand up." Maya's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode, but she stood. Hale walked toward her. "You entered Major Cutler's office last night without authorization. You accessed his computer. You photographed classified materials." Maya kept her face neutral. "Yes, sir." "That's illegal, Captain." "Yes, sir." Hale stopped a few feet away. "Why did you do it?" Maya met his eyes. "Because I knew he was lying, sir, and I knew no one would believe me without proof. So you broke the law." "I did what was necessary to expose the truth, sir." Hale studied her for a long moment. The room held its breath. Then, to everyone's shock, Hale's expression softened. "Captain Reeves," he said quietly, "you took an enormous risk. You could have been caught, court-martialed, dishonorably discharged." "Yes, sir. And you did it anyway." "Yes, sir." Hale nodded slowly. "That," he said, "is exactly the kind of officer I need for this mission." Maya blinked. "Sir?" Hale turned back to the room. Captain Reeves demonstrated initiative, courage, and an unwavering commitment to the truth. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't ask for help. She saw a problem and she solved it. He looked at her again. "You're not being court-martialed, Captain. You're being commended." Maya couldn't speak. Hale walked back to the front of the room. "Captain Reeves will be the intelligence lead for Operation Sentinel. She deploys in 72 hours. A wave of stunned silence washed over the room. Then Captain Park started clapping. Slowly, others joined in. Not everyone, but enough. Maya stood there, barely able to process what was happening. Cutler was being dragged out of the room, still shouting. The MPs didn't slow down. Hale raised a hand and the applause stopped. "The rest of you are dismissed," he said. "Captain Reeves, stay behind." The room emptied quickly, within minutes. It was just Maya, Hale, and Dr. Graves. Hale sat down on the edge of the table and looked at her. "You're probably wondering why I'm not throwing the book at you," he said. "Yes, sir. It's because Dr. Graves vouched for you. Told me what Cutler had been doing. Told me you were the one who uncovered it. Without her, this would have gone very differently." Maya looked at Graves. Graves gave her a small nod. "Thank you," Maya said. "Don't thank me yet," Hale said. "You've got the hardest job of your life ahead of you. This mission is dangerous, complex. If anything goes wrong, people die. American lives. Do you understand that?" "Yes, sir." "And you're ready?" Maya straightened her shoulders. "I'm ready, sir." Hale smiled, just a little. "Good. Because you leave tomorrow night. You'll be briefed this afternoon. Full operational details. SEAL Team 6 will be your ground element. You'll be embedded with them for the duration." Maya's pulse quickened. "SEAL Team 6, the best of the best." "Understood, sir." Hale stood. "One more thing, Captain." "Sir? You proved a lot of people wrong this week. Including me. I almost let Cutler's lies cost me the best officer for this job. I won't make that mistake again." He extended his hand. Maya shook it. "Make us proud," he said. "I will, sir." Maya walked out of the building into the bright Texas sunlight. Her hands were still shaking. Her mind was still reeling. But she'd done it. She'd fought through the lies, the sabotage, the doubt, and she'd won. As she walked across the base, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. "Proud of you. Stay safe out there." Graves. Maya smiled. She typed back a quick reply. "Thank you." For everything. She put her phone away and kept walking. Somewhere behind her, Cutler was being processed. His career was over, his reputation destroyed, and somewhere ahead of her a mission waited. A chance to prove herself on the biggest stage of her career. She thought about all the people who'd doubted her. The soldiers who gave her bad directions. The guards who turned her away. The officers who smirked when she walked into the briefing room. Covered in dust, they'd all thought she was lost, but she wasn't. She'd never been lost, she'd just been finding her. 72 hours later, Maya stood on the tarmac, her gear packed. Her mind focused. The C-130 transport plane rumbled behind her, engines roaring. A team of SEALs was loading equipment. Hard faces. Quiet confidence. They'd been briefed on her role. They knew she was coming. One of them, a tall man with a scarred jaw and lieutenant's bars, walked over. "Captain Reeves," he said. "That's me," he extended a hand. "Lieutenant Marcus Shaw. SEAL Team 6 will be working together." She shook his hand firmly. "Ready for this?" he asked. Maya looked at the plane, then back at him. "I was born ready," she said. Shaw grinned. "Good answer. Let's go get this bastard." They boarded the plane together. As the ramp closed and the engines roared louder, Maya strapped into her seat. Around her, the SEALs were doing the same, checking weapons, going over maps, preparing for war, and for the first time in days, Maya felt calm. This was where she belonged, not behind a desk, not following bad directions on a base she didn't know, but here,
In the field.
in the fight where her skills mattered, where her courage counted. The plane lifted off, and Maya looked out the small window at the base shrinking below. She thought about Cutler, about all the officers like him who tried to hold women back, who lied and cheated and sabotaged because they were afraid that women like her would prove them wrong. And she had. She closed her eyes as the plane climbed higher. In 36 hours, she'd be in a combat zone, hunting a terrorist who'd killed Americans, leading an operation that could save lives. She'd faced sabotage, lies, discrimination, and she'd beaten it all. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with skill, courage, and an unshakable belief in herself. They thought she was lost. But she wasn't. She was exactly where she was meant to be. 6 months later, the award ceremony was held in a large hall at the Pentagon. Rows of officers in dress, uniforms, generals, senators, press cameras flashing. Maya stood at attention as General Hale pinned the Bronze Star to her chest. For exceptional valor in intelligence operations. In support of Operation Sentinel, he said formally. Captain Maya Reeves distinguished herself through courage, professionalism, and unwavering dedication to duty. Her actions directly led to the successful capture of a high-value target and saved countless American lives. Applause filled the room. Maya didn't smile, didn't break composure, but inside, her heart was soaring. After the ceremony, she stood outside on the steps, watching the sunset. Dr. Ellen Graves walked up beside her. "Congratulations," Graves said. "Thank you," Maya said, "for everything. I wouldn't be here without you." Graves shook her head. "You would have found a way. You always do." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "What's next for you?" Graves asked. Maya looked out at the city. "Another mission," she said. "They're sending me to Yemen in 2 months." Graves smiled. "Of course they are." Maya turned to her. "And you?" "Me? I keep doing what I do. Finding the truth. Helping people like you." "The world needs more people like you," Maya said. "The world needs more people like you," Graves replied. They shook hands, and then Graves walked away, disappearing into the evening crowd. Maya stood alone on the steps, the Bronze Star heavy on her chest. She thought back to that morning on the base, lost, sweating, covered in dust. The guards who turned her away, the officers who mocked her, the man who tried to destroy her. They'd all underestimated her, and she'd proven every single one of them wrong, not by being louder, not by being angrier, but by being better. Maya took a deep breath and walked down the steps. She had a plane to catch, a mission to prepare for, and a career that was just getting started. They thought she was lost, but she was never lost. She was right where she needed to be, and she was just getting started.